2014, I'm doing the Dallas Europa, and I threw up a couple times the day before the show and a couple times the morning of the show because I had food poisoning because I packed my meals wrong, and I don't know, they must have gone bad, but I didn't know, so I ate them anyway. I was shredded. I think I puked up everything out of my stomach. So not to be gross, sorry, but my stomach was like half the size, and I was obviously dehydrated from throwing up. So I didn't need a diuretic or anything. There was no water on me. I thought I had that show on. I even had the promoter of the show even said I had that show on. Branch Warren ended up winning. When I look back at the photos, I'm like, Branch really out-muscled me, and I was a little bit stringy from throwing up. But the struggle for that show, man, I remember laying down before prejudging in the back, and I felt so horrible. Like, if any of you ever had food poisoning, you know what it feels like. Your stomach's tied knots. And I remember laying there, and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to go on, man. And it was, if you've ever been in extreme dehydration, it was like my hands were shaking. Like, I felt so weak, like I couldn't even stand up. I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna go out, man. I'm like, this is it. I'm just gonna lay back here, and I don't think I can do it. And one of my sponsors was with me. He's like, "Are you serious, man? You're not gonna go on?" I'm like, I can't even stand up. So he walks away. He wasn't disappointed or nothing. He just he saw how horrible I looked. Then my wife came and sat down next to me, and she's like, "You're not gonna go on?" And I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm like, I feel horrible. She looks at me, she goes, "You know, if you don't go on, everyone's going to make fun of you, right?" She goes, "Everyone out there is going to think you're a bitch." And I was like, what? I'm like, I'm throwing up. I feel horrible. She's like, "They don't know that, and they don't care. You got to get up and get out there. No one gives a shit if you're sick. They can't feel what you're feeling." I was like, whoa. It kind of hit me like real hard. And I stood up and I went out. It's funny. Once I got out on stage, it was like the adrenaline took over because people were cheering because I was so shredded. Like I think that's the leanest I've ever been in my life. So once I heard the crowd start cheering, I kind of snapped out of it and woke up, and I got through my posing round and came off the other side and then laid back down. But it's little things like that you remember in your career where you have a choice. You have a choice. You're like, am I going to bitch this one out, or am I going to suffer through it? Or am I going to take the loss and suffer through it? Or am I going to overcome the injury and suffer through it? And sometimes it's a smart idea to push yourself through, like that day. Because I ended up in second place. Some people had me in first. Some people in the audience had me in first. Some of the promoters had me first. But other times it wasn't. Like when I tore my quad before the Arnold's in 2017, I looked horrible at that show. My legs were half the size they normally were because I couldn't train them, so they flattened out before the show. And my stomach looked bigger, and everything just wasn't, it was a horrible outing. I still took sixth, but I don't think it was the deepest Arnold lineup, and I was very unhappy with how I looked. So sometimes you have to know when to step back from the adversity, and sometimes you have to know when to push right through it. But it's I can't name one biggest struggle. I've had a whole bunch of small ones, and some people would say that was big, some people would say it's not. Some people would say tearing a muscle is huge, and some people would say it's not. In my opinion, all of the struggles are struggles. They're just, some are a little bigger than others, but when you think back and you're trying to categorize and file away which ones are good and bad, you just realize that because they're all sticking out, they must have all sucked. And I'm proud of what I've done, because there's been a lot of times when I should have been better, should have placed better, or should have quit, and I didn't. So I don't know. I don't have a biggest adversity. I have just a lot of adversity. And when I say you have to keep working, it's not meant to be a fluffy answer. The only thing that gets you through, like a tricep tear, I was back in the gym a week later. Mind you, I wasn't working it. I was training one arm at a time. I was doing like one arm chest press and stuff. But like, it's the only thing that keeps me sane when things are down. And that's why I tell people, whatever you're going through, whether it's, you broke up with your girlfriend, you had a parent die. Like my dad died. My dad died when I was like 11 weeks out from my very first bodybuilding show, my very first pro show. I kept going. And it's not because I didn't care or don't love him. I'm like, I think he would want me to keep going. After the show, I was busted. Like after the show ended, I kind of felt all those feelings that my father had passed and everything. And I didn't regret doing the show, but I think I had buried those feelings for that 3 months while I got ready for the contest. But there's just always something, right? So whether it's like your girlfriend dumped you, you had a family member die or a friend die, or you lost a show, or you tore a muscle, or whatever it is, you just got to get back to the gym and keep working through your pain, and then you'll start to feel better.